Hey guys, welcome to the Marissa Effect, the podcast where real talk meets deep connection. I'm your host, Marissa, and around here we are all about honest conversations, fresh perspectives, and living a life that feels aligned, inspired, and unapologetically you. Whether we are diving into relationships, wellness, or those aha moments that shift everything in life, this is your space to grow, laugh, and feel seen. I'm so happy you guys are all here with me, so let's go ahead and get into it. Guys, welcome back to another episode on the Marissa Effect. Today's episode I'm extremely excited about because we're going to talk about health, wellness, plant-based education. My friend Beth here, she even started her own podcast, and that has a wealth of information. You could go ahead and follow that as well. But she's here on the podcast to share about her journey in the wellness and beauty industry. And she's going to talk a little bit about her podcast because we all know I'm trying to learn that podcast game. And I don't know, we're just going to dive right in. We are going to talk about really good stuff here. So I'm excited for this next episode.
Thank you.
Episode. You're
I'm
welcome.
excited too.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, I'm thrilled.
So I met Beth at the Montana Method, which everybody knows. I'm like engraved into the Montana Method. But so I met you there, and then I started to follow you. I think because and Brandy posted you, whatever. And then I followed you. I'm like, oh my gosh, she has a podcast. And then I started to listen to like some recent episodes. And then after I saw Beth again in class, I asked her about it. And we were talking about the podcast, and her Instagram is aesthetically so pleasing. And she is plant-based, and she does a lot of recipes you offer, right? And all the food on her page is just so delicious and yummy looking. So of course we talked about all of this, but that was one of my opening questions. Like, how did this all start? And is that something like career-wise you were doing or something separate?
Yes. So I love Montana Method.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. And one of the things I was going to share is that growing up, I was on dance line, and it was a little bit like, did you watch Dallas Cowboy Cheerleader?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
DCC.
Yeah.
So my dance line experience was really similar to DCC, and it was so much fun. And I found that as an adult, you don't really get to do choreographed dancing. And so the thing I love about Montana is doing that workout is like sort of being back on dance line again. So
that's so true, actually. As an adult, you don't find those classes. And it is kind of like cheerleading a little bit. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. I think that's what really made me fall in love with it. And also just meeting so many amazing
electric
women, and everyone's so supportive. And I think that is one of the most amazing parts of Montana Method.
Yeah, I love it. And the music is, I don't know, like you're growing up again, like you're at a high school party or a college party.
Yes, it brings you back. It reminds you of different time periods in your life. So I think that that's one of the most fun parts of it. And I had Montana on my podcast as well. So a couple years ago.
I want her to be on my podcast. She's coming on this podcast.
Awesome. But yeah, I think, taking it back, plant-based, not perfect, and just my overall Instagram account and then turning into a podcast goes back probably 12 years.
Wow.
Right when everyone, like vegan influencers were super popular at the time, Instagram had kind of just come out, and I was watching all the food documentaries, and I got really passionate, and I'm a very passionate person. So I was like, I'm going to be raw vegan. Well, that didn't last that long because it's not very sustainable.
Okay.
You have to eat a ton of food, a lot of calories, and I work a 9-to-5 job. I'm actually in marketing for like billion-dollar aerospace clients.
Oh, wow.
So my job can be very time intensive. So it's not like I can be eating 20 mangoes at my desk during the workday. Not sustainable. Right. So I was really into it, and then I realized it just didn't work for my lifestyle and like living in a modern world and going to a 9-to-5 job. So I kind of fell off. And then about a year later, my mom actually got really sick. She went to the hospital for congestive heart failure.
Oh, wow.
And like almost died. And I was really motivated to research and look into how you could help congestive heart failure through natural and holistic ways.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I was reading kept coming back to the benefits of eating more whole foods, right? More, not that you have to be vegan, but eating more plant-based foods for your health.
Okay.
And that's really what set me back into the whole lifestyle. But this time I said, okay, I'm not going to be so extreme where I have to be a raw vegan. I'm going to be mainly plant-based, but no labels. And, you know, if I eat like a piece of cheese pizza because I'm drinking at 2 a.m,
you're not going to get down on yourself and have guilt. Okay.
I'm not going to beat myself up about it. And it's not like you fell off the wagon and now you're not vegan anymore.
Right.
So I was kind of like, I'm going to approach this differently. Just focus on eating more whole, real foods, less processed food, mainly plants, and just kind of see where it goes. And I've been plant-based ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. So I eat some seafood just because we live in Florida.
Yeah.
It's hard to, when you're traveling, it can be hard in different places around the world to eat vegan completely or know that you're eating things that are vegan.
Yeah.
And that really helped me sustain it this whole time by alleviating the pressure that you put on yourself.
Okay. And I do feel like when you're not so strict, when you're a little flexible with the rules, you sustain them a little longer. You can actually make it a lifestyle, which is like not feeling like a punishment almost, you know?
Yeah.
So rigid.
Yeah. And I think that's why you see, you know, all the vegan influencers I followed 13 years ago, most of them aren't vegan anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of it is because I think, you know, I've thought about this a lot, is maybe they approached it too strictly themselves and then had health issues, and you chalk it up to your diet, which maybe it played a part in, but maybe they just were malnourished. Maybe they weren't eating enough calories. Maybe it's some other things too. I don't think it's just because you didn't have meat.
Yes. And like there's something to be said. So I shared with you, I was a pescatarian, like I would eat fish. But I was never really well balanced or educated on like how I eat, when I eat. And then I came upon this book called The Beauty Detox by Kimberly Snyder. Do you know her?
I interviewed her on my podcast.
Oh, send me that episode.
Okay.
I love her.
I love her too.
I use all of her beauty skincare. She's
amazing.
She's great. Yeah. So
she's like the OG.
She's the OG. So I followed the Beauty Detox, and then I made all these changes. But I mean, she's really good at making food. I'm not as patient as like you were, Kimberly Snyder, where I like don't take that on, but I want to start as I get older. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm starting to care about this, you know, a little bit more. But yeah, anyway, I read that book, and then I started to feel better as I incorporated more like alkaline foods into my diet, like the water-based foods that had like water concentration to them. And I do feel that there's changes in your body. But one thing I never knew is if I was ever consuming the right amount of protein for me. And now we're living like years later, we're in like a protein
obsessed
society. I can't not even go through my Scrolly without seeing something protein, or eat your meat. You know?
I think it's kind of being pushed personally in the industry by, which sounds funny because there's like big dairy and big like the egg industry and the meat industry. Not that they're paying influencers to promote these things, but they're finding ways through supplements to promote protein in everything that you do, like colostrum and protein powder, and how much protein you need to consume in a day. Whereas if you do the research, I mean, no one has passed away from a protein deficiency. And vegans, you know, have been shown to consume even more protein than they need to get in a day through plenty of plant-based sources. You can get just the same amino acids. You can get enough protein. Just focus on having protein in every meal that you have. You don't need to count it per se. But as you age, I think you do need to make sure you're getting a little more protein to help with muscle. There is truth to that in the research. But I think how far it's swung the other direction about protein is just become completely insane.
I just think that's just a society we live in, like this meta-based society where we're just being fed things that instill fear. So we're just like, oh my gosh, now I got to change up this. I don't know. But
yeah,
I went to a functional wellness doctor about 2 years ago. And then she said, you know, eat a lot of vegetables and your fruits and all of that. But like she did say, start incorporating some meat just to see if you're feeling better. And one of the reasons was because I felt like my hormones were all over the joint and I could not, and I was working out and I was falling asleep. So I think it was more so for me not being mindful of what I ate, when I ate it, you know, because at different times of the day or serve different needs. So I don't know. There's just so much to not learn about your eating habits.
Definitely. I mean, I think, and I also believe in bio-individuality. I don't think everyone thrives on the same diet per se. Like I can eat a lot of complex carbohydrates at night, like potatoes, rice, pasta, and I feel great. I don't gain weight. I have a lot of energy. My husband will try to eat like that and he feels sluggish. He doesn't feel as good. He feels better eating protein, animal protein, but not super often. So we've kind of we both had our blood work done and both of our blood work was excellent. Great. So I said, okay, if your blood work's just as good as mine and I'm not eating meat and you are, then
we don't need to make changes.
Nothing we need to talk about.
Yeah. And intuitively, I think we know what our bodies need on an individual basis, as long as you're like paying attention to it. I know for me, like around my period, I'm like, I should probably eat like some spinach or like meat. Like I just feel like I need that around that like luteal phase time of my month. So I don't know if I'm making this up just because of the shit that I'm reading all the time, or if my body's truly telling me like this is when you want to eat this type of things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely being perpetuated in the health and wellness community that you need to be eating a lot of protein, animal source protein, to thrive, to build muscle. And that's not true. There's plenty of vegan bodybuilders. Right. I mean, we know that isn't true.
Right.
But I think, yes, so many people have just come before where it was raw vegan influencers. Now it's, paleo influencers. Yeah. And I think eventually it will come back into the middle.
Pendulum always swings.
Yep.
But one thing that stood out to me in the Kimberly Snyder Beauty Detox book was basically if we were to survive, like if we were on an island and need to survive, we can live off of plant-based foods. Like we will be able to survive. Like elephants are one of the strongest animals out there, and they are a plant-based animal. You know what I mean? So I was just like, okay, I think that's what attracted me. But I know now, like similar to what you were describing earlier in the episode, I don't like to be strict. So I feel like as long as I'm eating some meat when I want to, I feel happy. But most of my diet is vegetarian.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I came up with plant-based, not perfect, because I myself wanted to, originally I got so passionate about veganism and also the animal cruelty part of it. I think it depends. I got more into the health aspect of it and the research. And then now it's been so many years, it's more about the animals. Like I just don't want to consume them anymore. I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't always the animals in the beginning for me, but I think it depends how you approach it. But it changes. And I think, eventually I wanted to label myself too, and I realized I was putting too much pressure on myself. And that's why I came up with plant-based, not perfect.
I love that.
Not perfect might mean, eating French fries because that's your best option. And maybe they're cooked in beef tallow and you don't know.
Yeah.
You just have to accept you're going to consume some animal products. It's not a big deal. It's not going to change anything majorly. And I think that was the biggest moment for me to be in a sustainable lifestyle. And that's why I've been able to do it for so long.
Wow. Anything happen? Like what started, like you said, your profession is the aviation. Yeah. But what started, what happened in your life that you were just like, I'm going to go and be, because you're very well educated in that you've been teaching yourself. So something had to have called you to this, right?
Well, I think I've always had a side hustle my whole life. No matter what job I did, I always had a second job, whether it was, I used to have a fashion blog where I would look up the looks for less on The Bachelor, Bachelorette.
Oh, cool.
So that was one of my first kind of creative jobs I did as a side job. Then after I did that, I wasn't as passionate about it. And then I got into eating plant-based and I just continued the blog idea, but turned it into health and wellness. And then about 6 years ago, I was listening to a lot of podcasts and I felt like there was a space for what I wanted to listen to. I didn't want to listen to people who were only diehard vegan, and I didn't want to really listen to paleo.
Yeah.
So I thought, we were in Australia on a surf trip, and my husband was like, well, you keep complaining about it. Why don't you just start your own podcast? And I thought, okay, maybe I will. And I came up with the name Plantbased, Not Perfect, and all the things that I wanted to achieve with my podcast, like having guests on who maybe weren't on the podcast circuit, because I kept hearing the same guests on every podcast, and I think that's really boring. And I wanted to create a place that wasn't just an echo chamber of only people who agree with me and eat the same way that I do.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted like a non-biased place to talk to people and learn from them. And I wanted to make it research-based so that I would remove my own bias, which obviously is to eat plant-based.
Yeah.
And see like what the literature really did have to say about some of these topics. Like, do you really need to eat this much protein? What do the longest living people in the world do? Which, yes, they do consume meat, but it's a very small amount.
Like the blue zone areas?
The blue zone areas. So I tried to come up with an idea that didn't exist yet. And I made everything research back. So I would spend hours researching and then kind of make my case. And then I'd present my findings on the podcast. So it's kind of like a law case.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Because I'm passionate about researching, finding the evidence, and I guess arguing the point.
Yeah. Pointing. Yeah. Proving the point.
Proving the point. And sometimes the point wouldn't be what I had thought. And I had to be able to present that and not only push my beliefs and agenda on other people.
Yeah, so you're super humble. So it wasn't like, I'm not going to talk about this topic. I was proved wrong, like, or whatever. Yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, it's good to self-educate, though. It's such a good, it's such important information and education, I think.
Yeah, and I think, too, like my full-time job is very technical, organized. I manage accounts for different clients who are in private aviation, like private jets, and building engines for commercial planes that we fly in. So it's a total different side of the brain.
Yes.
And I needed something that fueled what I was passionate about while also being creative and doing something else with my time.
Yeah.
And I think what makes me so passionate about it is that I help other people, and people would start writing me about how eating more plants would make them, not be on diabetes medication anymore and be able to lose weight, or their loved one would be healthier. And that is what drives me. Yeah, still to this day, is I just really love helping people.
Yeah, you definitely cultivated a community, like a following, and you were helping people because people were becoming educated, and you had a why to like what you were putting out there. So as you were working and building this community, people were asking you for like recipes and stuff like that, and you were able to kind of provide that. You should make a cookbook.
I know, it's funny because I don't really consider myself a cook, and I never cooked before becoming plant-based. And then I would start veganizing things, like my favorite dishes from growing up, or things that my husband likes. Like, how do I make this vegan but also not processed vegan? Like, instead of getting Impossible meat, maybe it's mushrooms as the substitute. So I really like a more whole food approach than a processed plant-based approach. And that's when I started coming up with recipe ideas of how I could change things that were like our favorites when we were kids. And that's sort of when I started getting into the recipe part. Yeah. I have a couple ebooks with recipes, and I made like a meal plan, and I would help people incorporate that, and they would see a lot of like wonderful results too. So that was a pretty cool period.
That is cool. Do you have like a go-to smoothie? Like, Kimberly Snyder has her signature smoothie, the glowing green goddess.
Yes. Mine's kind of similar to hers. Okay. It's a green smoothie as well. And I drink it every single day.
Every day. Okay.
Every day. I mean, I've missed a few days here and there, but I do believe that it is, if you could do one thing, I think adding in a green smoothie, or if you live up north and a smoothie is too cold, adding in a green salad or adding greens to something can make a huge difference
in your diet.
In your diet, yeah.
I mean, they do say like it's the skin; it does wonders for the skin too.
Yes, and I think I've seen a few things I think I can attribute overall to my lifestyle. And that's also what you're not doing, right? I don't consume a lot of alcohol. I've never smoked cigarettes. I work out pretty much every day. So it's not just diet, but I think having a green smoothie every day, I have seen like energy, digestion benefits. I used to have endometriosis when I was young.
Yeah.
I had surgery for it. And they were like, you might never be able to have children. But they never told you back then anything you could do with your lifestyle of how to help it. Nothing. It was just like, get on birth control, have this surgery, and you might never have kids. And you're like 16 years old.
And you're just supposed to accept that. And then you don't even realize what you're hearing.
You don't realize it. And once I researched it, which I have a podcast episode on endometriosis, alcohol makes it worse. Well, my worst, symptoms were in college when I was drinking 3-4 times a week.
Right. And
I didn't know the correlation. So I think once you actually learn how your lifestyle can impact and how your diet can impact other things, or like skin issues I've had that were weird growing up, I don't experience them anymore since I changed my diet. I don't have endometriosis anymore at all. I have no symptoms.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I mean, that's amazing that we can prove that we can correct this through eating consciously to support like our health. I really feel that way.
Yeah, that's why I get passionate about it, because I have seen such amazing transformations. And even for myself, health issues, pregnancy, which we'll get into, like they scare you. There's a lot of fear when you have endometriosis about one day maybe never having children. Yeah. And I don't think that they should speak to you that way, because I don't believe that that's always true.
Yeah. I'm like ready to segue into that part of the episode. I'm like got pumped. I'm like, yes,
Bring
this is it. Yes. But I do feel passionately about how we eat, and we have to eat consciously, like, making sure at least your food is organic. Like I know people will say like the price is just so much, but I just really feel like you have to educate yourself on like the type of food that you're consuming, and it helps with your brain clarity, like and your everyday energy levels. Like I was sharing with you when I went to the functional wellness doctor at that time in my life, like I was eating vegetarian based foods, but I was also eating crap candies, junk food, and that mixture just wasn't driving well. And I am an intuitive person, so I was just like, something's missing here. And then to get into like the pregnancy side of things, I'm later in my 30s. So as you start to age, you start to like have these pressures with your family asking you questions, and, and it's just never something I thought for myself, like that I wouldn't be a parent. Like I just thought, yeah, that comes when the time is right. Like I really always had this vision, but I was never that female that like grew up and was like, I'm going to have a white picket fence. I'm going to make pies. I'm going to have 4 kids running around. I didn't have these types of dreams. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean I wouldn't be a great mom. Like I just wasn't focused in that area. But all that said, now I just feel like I'm being fed on social media these fear mongering. It's too late. Or your body, you're reducing your egg quality as you each and every day. It's going down. I mean, it's subconsciously in my brain all the time. Like I have anxiousness around it. So I wanted that's another big topic that I brought Beth on the episode, because you do live a healthy lifestyle. And I think that supports so much, like, you know what I mean, of how you show up in the world, and fitness wise, you know what I mean? Health wise, like you said, you cleared up some skin issues and stuff. But it also, I do feel like you conceived, and you said it all happened naturally. Like it wasn't something you planned. So I kind of want you to talk to us about that.
There's a lot to say.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think there's a lot of fear mongering. Like I said, with endometriosis and just being a woman in general, I think they make you feel like once you turn 40, it's harder to get pregnant, your egg quality, etc. Now, of course, there's an age we're all going to reach where that is true. But women can have babies well into their 40s. And I think if you are living a healthy lifestyle, you can have a very healthy pregnancy and birth. And I'm obviously proof of that.
Yeah.
I didn't change my diet at all. you know, I wasn't concerned about that. I knew that the way that I ate and lived, I would have a healthy child. But obviously I brought it up to my midwife, like, this is how I eat. Do you have a problem with this? And she was like, no, plant-based diets, you can have a healthy, like, she was very well versed in it and had other women come to her who also ate plant-based. So she wasn't concerned. I just took a prenatal multi. That was it. I didn't do any other supplementation. I was not doing anything at the time to get pregnant, like supplements. If anything, I took nothing, not a multivitamin, nothing. And my husband and we went to Paris. Our friends came and met us. And I was actually having a couple of drinks every night, which I don't really drink alcohol very much. The more I've gotten into health and wellness just naturally. And this one day he was surfing. We were in another part of France where there's waves, not in Paris. And I was laying on the beach and I felt so nauseous. And I thought, I can't be pregnant. I don't think so. It's probably from drinking. And then I wanted ramen really bad. I was like having kind of weird cravings. And I drank coffee and I thought it tasted bad. And it was just, if you're very intuitive with your body, you kind of know something's different. So then when we came home from the trip, I took a pregnancy test and it was not a solid line. It was kind of in the middle. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm not pregnant. But then the next week at work, I just felt so unlike myself. And I had nausea pretty much every day, and I'm never nauseous. And I told my coworker, either I came home with a parasite or I'm pregnant, because what else could this be? So I bought more pregnancy tests, and those were very solid lines. So then that's how I found out I was pregnant.
That's so cool.
In France.
I think that's so cool.
It was a little shocking, not because I didn't think it was possible. I was on birth control since I was 15 years old because of endometriosis.
Okay.
They put me on that. They were like, this is the only thing that can help you. You can't ever go off. So I was on it for like 25 years. Yeah, and I was scared to go off because you hear horror stories in the media about once you go off, you need years to conceive. Once you go off, you have acne and all these terrible things that birth control was helping will come back. Well, none of those things happened to me.
And your whole lifestyle changed. So like the person you were when you started it was not the same person when you ended it.
Exactly. And when I was on it, I would still have symptoms like pain from endometriosis. And that had gone away over the years as I changed my lifestyle. But I thought, well, maybe when I go off it, I'll have all these symptoms again. Nothing. Never came back. Still are not back. Wow. I haven't been, back on it. And so I had been off birth control for like a year and a couple months before I got pregnant. And one of the big things for me, I'm a very indecisive person. So over the years, I was just like, am I ready to have a baby? Am I not? Will I be okay never having a child? Because growing up, I kind of always assumed I would, but I never really overthought it. And I didn't put pressure on myself that I had to. And I think my parents had given up by the time I turned 40. They were like, we're just going to stop asking. And my husband wasn't a big yes. So I was kind of like, well, that's something to consider. Like, if he doesn't really want to, should we do it anyways? So there's a lot of things to think about. And I would make like pros and cons lists. And the cons were so silly. It was just like, I don't even remember what they were. I need to find an old list because they're just so stupid. But I'd overthink it. And then I thought, well, if I'm thinking about this so much, obviously I'm not that strong of a no. Why do I keep thinking about it?
Yeah, that's true.
Like eventually I was like, if I was a no, I wouldn't keep going through this and putting myself through this. So I kind of came to that conclusion. And then the same year I lost my dog and my grandfather, who I was extremely close with. And I think when you lose someone that you love and you think about mortality and when you're older and what's important in life, to be very emotional, which I'm very emo, it made me think, what do I want to like leave behind once I'm older? And I thought of my relationship with my grandfather and how special it was and how much we loved each other. And also I was really used to taking care of something, my dog, like this tiny little Yorkie Chihuahua thing that I carry around. And I like didn't have either of those anymore. And I think that was when I was like, if I get pregnant, I'm okay with it. If it happens, it happens. So my husband and I both kind of agreed, if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, we're not going to go out of our way to like try IVF, anything like that. If it doesn't happen naturally, then we're accepting that it's not for us. And then a year and some months later is, when I found out I was pregnant.
Wait, so that big conversation that you had with your husband that happened when you were like 39. So you were still like, you were on the old side of, I hate even saying that because.
Well, I was probably like 41 or 40.
Oh, shit, really?
Because I got pregnant at 42 and I'm 43 now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just find like you are proof that you don't have. I also don't feel like the best things in life come from a anxiety driven choice, right? So like if you're making a choice to like rush and get pregnant when you're not ready or you're not a full hell yeah or whatever, I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm torn because I do believe I read this book. It was called Spirit Babies, and basically it says like if a baby's supposed to be here, they're going to be here. So, it was an interesting read, but but I do feel like when you let down like all of those thoughts, like when you would sit writing pros and cons, like after you kind of like put it out like out of your mind, it called into you. Like, you know what I mean? It just came. So I don't know.
I would agree with that. I think, well, because you hear a lot about women who put a lot of pressure on themselves to get pregnant and they can't get pregnant. And then they do IVF. And then afterwards they naturally get pregnant because they're not stressing anymore. That can happen to people. And I think that there's something there because when you're anxious about it and you're stressing yourself out, your body intuitively knows that you're stressed. Maybe it doesn't know what the stress is from, but it can feel it. And I think that can be for anything. Like a lot of the women I've spoken to in my community, they stress themselves out exercising too much. They stress themselves out not eating enough calories, whether you're plant-based or not. You're not fueling yourself with enough food. Then you're exercising too much. So then your hormones are all over the place because your body is in fight or flight. It holds on to fat. Then you can't lose weight. And you're like, well, I'm barely eating anything. I'm working out like crazy. Why can't I lose weight? And a lot of times I think it's just the stress that we put on ourselves, and your body is so smart. It knows.
It is so smart. Yeah.
And so I think when you can let all of that go is when you allow things to happen. So I think exactly that. And, you know, I was never stressed about having a child, but I knew I should make a decision, you know, sometime in my 40s.
Yeah.
Like I figured, you know, it was either, and the timing ended up being like divine timing. I just feel like everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest feeling when you have a child and suddenly it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Like they were always supposed to be there.
I love that. Yeah. No, I really love that because there's such a point in it. I think men do too, but maybe more silently than females. But comes a point in time, I'm a female, so I can speak on that behalf. But you start stressing, and you start like hearing somebody else's story, and you start thinking like, I don't have those feelings, but should I start worrying about that? And you know what I mean? And now that your son is here and he's the cutest little thing, now you can like really reflect on that and be like, it all just truly does work out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I think it's easy to say that in hindsight, but I definitely understand how it feels before and you're not sure. And I had a lot of fear around birth. Like a lot of fear. I was really, I'm a wuss. I don't like pain. And I was really terrified of giving birth. Like when I got to the hospital room, I just burst into tears because I did not want to do it. And that was keeping me, like a lot of my thoughts of having a baby were about
birth.
The birthing. It wasn't about being a parent or like my own childhood issues and how I'm going to be as a parent. Nothing like that. It was all just like that one moment.
At birth. Is that why you got a midwife?
No, my OBGYN just happened to be a midwife.
Oh, cool.
And she was amazing. And they're a little more holistic than a traditional doctor. And I didn't even know she was a midwife originally. She was just who I ended up going to at my practice.
Oh.
And honestly, it was very helpful in my experience. She talked me through everything. She was wonderful. And I definitely had an epidural. I'm not that hippie. Like I was like, no, I need drugs. I eat healthy, but I need to not feel anything. Because someone wrote me on Instagram like, oh, and did you have a natural childbirth with no drugs? I'm like, no. I'm like Boca hippie. Okay? So anyways, my
Boca hippie.
Yeah. But one of the things my experience was so positive, and honestly, I had no pain. And a lot of my fear was just made up in my head.
Yeah, well, we always make it like this crazy intensified story.
Yes. And then when you go through
you're like, what?
And a lot of most of the cliche things people say about having a child are completely
So you had,
true.
Can I ask this? You had a vaginal birth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I gave birth in like 30 minutes. I pushed for like 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fast one, right?
Yes. And being in shape, I think really helps you when you give birth because it's like a workout.
Yeah.
And I worked out every single day of my pregnancy, even if it's just a walk. Because in the last trimester, you're like, I could not go to Montana method. I was like, so detached from my body. Like you just look like a lunatic. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to workout classes. I would just go for walks. And I think that really helped with giving birth because you're pushing and you have to use a lot of energy. And I also tried to remain like very calm in the room and very calm during my pregnancy because I had read that it would transfer to the baby and you didn't want to be super anxious when you're pregnant because they can feel those things. Yes. And everyone comments that my baby is the chillest, calm baby. So I don't know if that's what it's from, but I think so. I like to pass that through. But yeah, a lot of it was fear. Like I think the endometriosis thing, there's a lot of fear. I think eating plant-based, there's fear.
Endometriosis? Not to go back that way.
No, that's okay. Yeah. It's an overgrowth of lining. So when you shed the lining and you like have your regular period, it can attach itself in other places for women who have endometriosis. So it can be like on your ovaries. It can be...
And it's painful, right? Like bad cramping.
Really bad cramping. It can be like painful having sex. There can be a lot of issues sometimes when it attaches to your ovaries. That's why it affects women
and their birthing,
having children. And so I had that surgery when I was in college, and they basically go in and like laser off that extra tissue wherever it has grown.
And does that prevent it from doing that again?
No, it comes back. That's what's so silly about the whole thing.
Oh, so then realistically, everybody should be just more mindful of how their lifestyle choices. It sounds like lifestyle choices may help it tremendously.
I think that's a huge piece of it because what happens is a lot of women just keep going and getting the surgery over and over again.
I mean, I don't know. If that's what feels right for them, then wouldn't be for me.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had known. Now, would I have drank less in college if I'd known that?
Yeah.
Probably
you have to
not.
live. Yeah.
But I think there was other things like eating high processed foods affects it.
Yes,
like high processed fats affect endometriosis. Alcohol consumption affects endometriosis. Things that help it are working out, fiber. Well, where do you get fiber? Plants. If I'd known some of those things or someone had educated me on that when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have done everything, but I think I would have done some of the things. So I think diet and lifestyle can take you pretty far. I don't like to say it can cure
something.
everything.
Well, we don't know. Right.
Obviously. But I think from my experience personally, I don't have it anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. And you don't want to keep having surgery every 5 years. They have nothing else. They just make you get surgery or make you take the birth control pill. That's it.
I know. But how hard is it to just say, hey, have you ever tried this? Go to the gym, eat better.
I don't think they're educated on that. You know, I think one of the big things I've discovered doing research for my podcast is like, one, women are never represented in studies. Most studies are done on men.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes. So for many years, women weren't even in a lot of the studies that were done because of our hormones, and we can fluctuate. So we're not as steady to study. So it makes sense. And, you know, that was a big thing I didn't know before. And then I think the other thing is that when, you know, people go to school to become doctors, they only receive like 4 hours of training in nutrition.
That is sick.
So they just don't know any better. Now, maybe there's a little more now, I think that but just part of their curriculum is not about how food can heal or holistic ways of treating things. Another huge thing that I experienced that I shared on my podcast is I had skin issues. And when I was young, I had really bad like eczema and nobody could figure it out. It just went away randomly and it would pop up over the years. And I talked to this holistic woman in my 20s. I had like a really bad outbreak of it all over my body. And I was drinking a lot at the time too. And she said, no processed food, no alcohol, take olive leaf extract, 6 capsules a day, and put tea tree oil on it. And it went away in a day. And I had already tried. In a day.
Holy shit.
And I had already tried every like topical thing that the dermatologist gave me. Nobody knew what it was. And it went away in a day after just the olive leaf and the tea tree. The diet I wasn't so good on is in my 20s. And that was a big testament to me how plants can really, you know, affect your health and longevity. Yeah. And that got me super passionate about that. So I use olive leaf extract for literally everything.
So cool. Yeah. I would have never known that.
Yeah. If I'm sick, if I'm traveling, I take it for everything. And I swear.
Extract. Okay.
Yes. Check it out.
I will. I do love like the low remedies because I just feel like they work. Even my skincare, it's super clean. I mean, it's Kimberly Snyder stuff. So I've been using it for years. I won't even really explore many others because I'm like, I'm responding well. Why should I change this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I love her. She's very true to her roots and I think very transparent. And I like that about her a lot.
Yeah, me too. That's what attracted me to read the book. And then after that, just kept going. Yeah. She had a good podcast too. I haven't really listened to her podcast in a while, but she has a good one too.
Yeah. I think she's like the OG nutritionist of Hollywood. So she's definitely, I read her book when I was in Panama on a trip. I discovered her book
The Beauty Detox one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read it. And then when I was doing the podcast, like in the middle of it, I was in Panama and I interviewed her in the same place I was at when I read her book, like 5 years later.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. So you reached out to her?
No, her team reached out to me.
Wow.
So when I was doing the podcast, I was getting a lot of pitches for guests to come on. And I was very picky, especially about advertisers. Like if they were not, like I can't be talking about eating plant-based and holistic and not, you know, and then have an ad for colostrum.
Yeah. So true, actually, yeah.
So I said no to a lot of people. I could have probably made more money.
So true.
But my husband's always like, well, what if McDonald's comes to you and they want you to sell, you know, their vegan breakfast sandwich for however much money? And I was like, I wouldn't do it.
You have to say no.
Yeah. And beyond reproach. He's like, no, you take the money.
No, I agree with you. I like your approach.
Yeah. Sometimes I can be overly ethical. I've discovered about myself.
That's okay. That is okay. I love this conversation. So are you going to plan on continuing with your podcast? Or are you going to step away from it for a little bit? I think you're a natural. You have so much to offer.
Oh,
and I know you have the little guy in your life. So I know like life's different now, but.
You know, I took a break because it became a full-time job. And I already have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I work in advertising and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're running the behind the scenes of a podcast, you're dealing with someone like me at an agency, which is what I do for a living. And you have to make sure you are very organized and that you hit all the dates and remember when to do the ad reads and send them stuff and then invoice. And it became a lot of admin work in the back end, which of course you could outsource, but I like to do things myself. And I didn't want it to get in the way of what I'm actually passionate about, which is helping people. I don't really care about making money.
Yeah.
It's nice to make money for your work because I was spending hours researching things. And so I had a difficult time deciding kind of what to do. So I pared back, and the advertisers I did have, I would try to say, if you buy 2 spots in a month, like they will run, but I'm not agreeing to the exact date.
Okay.
But because they don't run and work like that, it didn't work out that well because they
need dates.
They have to check and make sure that you did the read when you said you would, you said what you agreed to, because there's contracts that you sign. And so I'm like, because I'm a very all or nothing person, I was just like, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Like, I'm just going to walk away from it because this isn't my main source of income. And I want to do things and remain true to myself. And so sometimes I just like blow things up because I want to stay to what I'm passionate about. I don't want to be a sellout.
Okay, yeah. So, but do you feel like because, you know, you have so many followers, so many people listen, do you feel like because you ended, you know, people, I don't know, you're letting people down that way? I don't know. And I don't mean that negative. I'm just saying, like, once you have such a following, what's that feeling like? Because I'm growing, so I just want to know how that.
I mean, honestly, I haven't thought about it. I just do whatever I feel passionate and is right in the moment for myself. And I still try to stay updated on Instagram, where a lot of my community is. I kept all my episodes, like I paid to have them still hosted so people can still find them and listen to them. But I basically took a hiatus. Then I got pregnant. Then I thought, okay, well, let's see how this goes once I have the baby, how I'm feeling. Like, am I still passionate about this? Is this still what I want to give my time to? And I did maybe like 2 episodes since having the baby where I shared just about my plant-based pregnancy and then postpartum, because a lot of people have questions about like getting in shape again.
Yeah,
your body
that's true.
image.
We can talk about stuff like that. Yeah,
we can talk about that next. And I shared that because that's what people were asking about. And I kind of knew like these are topics I want to cover, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the future of the podcast.
Fair. But you're pretty good with that boundary, I've noticed. Like, you're
very clear boundaries.
Yeah. Like, I don't know is a boundary.
No reply is a reply.
Yeah.
That's what we say at work.
You're very good at that. That was a strength.
I've gotten a lot better. I wasn't always.
Yeah, because Libras are people pleasers, I think, by nature, right?
100%. I hate confrontation. I don't like disagreements.
Yeah.
But I think my job, because I can deal with very difficult people sometimes, I've learned to have better boundaries because I can be too nice. I can agree to things. I'll give things away for free because I feel bad for someone.
Yeah.
And I've learned with time that they just are taking from you and you have to have really clear boundaries. So I think I didn't have them until like my later 30s probably.
Yeah. I think some things are just life needs to teach you that lesson, you know?
Yeah.
Like a book can't.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. But wait. Well, before we like wrap things up, so now I want to know that answer to myself. So now that you're back into the wellness thing, did you find it hard to go back to fitness? Selfishly, I want to know the answer to that because I asked Brandy that too. I'm like, so what's it like? Like, now that you've already given birth, did your body just kind of go back to its regular way of working out?
It's so interesting. And one of the things I looked up when I was pregnant was, because I love research, was understanding the body. And when you gain 25, 30 pounds on the scale, when you really look into that, what makes up those 30 pounds, it's not like you gain 30 pounds of fat. You have fluid, blood, the baby, the placenta. That's what adds up the 30 pounds. Okay. So you have to think after you give birth, you lose
all of that.
So you walk out at least 10 pounds lighter, basically. And the fluid drains from your body. It's being held and there's extra blood and all these things to help your baby grow. So once I kind of understood that, I was more comfortable with gaining weight because I realized what it was all for. Had a purpose. Mm-hmm. So that made me feel okay with it. And then afterwards, literally in the hospital room, like the next day, I could see my ankles again. And when I was pregnant towards the end, I had full cankles. It was so bad. And all the fluid just leaves your body. Oh. And then your belly is kind of like, you can like push it in, you know, it's skin, it's empty. And then over the weeks I took pictures, like the first 2 weeks, it like shrunk back. Not fully
the first 2
flat,
weeks? Oh, okay.
But it's still, you have a little roundedness here. Yeah. And then I'd say within the first month, I lost most of the weight. Maybe only had 10 pounds left.
Wow.
And your body just naturally
knows what to do.
If you didn't gain extra weight on top of the natural pregnancy weight, then I think it's not a long path to losing it.
Okay. And your body already knows, like, you enjoy fitness, you know your workouts. So mentally, I think you kind of knew what to do for that. Mm-hmm. But did you have cravings? Like when you were eating did you find yourself overeating?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't have
maybe
cravings.
Maybe that's not an everybody thing.
Yeah, that's funny because I think it's like a mixed thing. Like some women, you're pregnant and you're like, when am I ever going to be pregnant again? I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And say you have a craving and you want ice cream every night or something. I didn't really experience that where people were like, what if you crave meat? What are you going to do? But I never did. You know, I thought, oh my gosh, what if I crave red meat or something? Yeah, what am I going to be a hypocrite? But I never did. The only weird craving I had was crab cakes.
Okay. But you were eating seafood. So that was
I already ate seafood. But once, like every week I wanted crab cakes for some reason when I was pregnant. And that was pretty much it. Not really sweets or anything. Okay. And then the first 6 weeks after pregnancy, you're not really supposed to work out. So you can just go for a walk and that's it. Well, walking is so therapeutic for me. So I can imagine the benefits that it has for you being pregnant and the baby. It's really meditative. For me, I love walking. Oh, I think it's
also
amazing.
Exercise.
I think it's underrated. I think a lot of people don't realize how beneficial it is, even for weight loss. Mm-hmm. I think people just discard walking, like nothing good will come out of it. My last trimester, that's pretty much all I did. Mm-hmm. I just walked. And I think that it was very helpful. And then after like 2 weeks after having the baby, I just started walking around my block. And then I went a little further and then a little further. And it takes time. And then I'd say like a few months after, the biggest thing is just your
going back.
Your abs going back to where you can actually see them again.
Expand. Your rib cage even moves, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you make all this space. And then
crazy.
Everything has to go back to the way it was.
Right.
And yeah, I was like nervous about what would happen postpartum. You know, I didn't know if it'd be difficult to lose the weight, if I'd have to do some crazy workouts, but I didn't experience that.
Okay. Yeah. And, but when you're pregnant and you're using your abs, you're doing abdominal workouts, do you feel different? You must.
Oh, yeah. I just gave up on ab workouts.
Okay. So you give up. Okay.
Once you get to a certain size, it's like pointless.
Okay.
Like you're just like, this doesn't work and I can't do certain moves. And then you can only do like standing workouts. And yeah, it's like you can do certain things for a certain period. And then after that, it's just like, what's the point?
Okay. And then so after you give birth, though, it's natural for you. You know how to re-engage all your muscles.
I mean,
I didn't lose it.
I didn't experience, some people have like a separation of their abs when they're pregnant. I didn't have that problem. But, you know, I noticed doing my same workouts again that I wasn't as strong in my core and that I had to really focus on that a little bit more. So I'd say that took maybe 3 months before I felt really
back to kind of where you were.
Back to the same strength
Okay.
in my abs.
That makes sense. There's so much pressure there, you know, while you're growing this baby. So it makes sense that they're strained and not as strong as they were.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of women have asked me too about body image and when you're pregnant, how to have a healthy body image. And I think this might be helpful for someone listening, but for me, I thought of it as this is just a season in my life. I don't think I'll ever experience it again. I don't plan on it. And I'm going to...
You weren't planning on this one, though.
I wasn't planning on this one either. But I'm going to embrace it and just focus on being as healthy as possible for the baby and not focusing on the body image part of it, because this is just a blip on the radar. This is very short. It's not about me. It's about the baby. And I think when you can focus on the health and like stop thinking about yourself is when you can let go of some of those feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree with that mindset 100%. Yeah. I also think when you do anything for the help or benefit of somebody else and it's coming from like a vain or egotistical place, change happens. You know what I mean? The change you want. Happens, I think.
Well, that's the most important piece of everything, I think, is helping others and not making it about you. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I loved having you on. I feel you can educate me all day about everything health and wellness. I love talking about this stuff.
I know, me too.
So thank you for giving me your time today.
Of course. I loved it.
Yeah. All right, guys, until next week. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode on the Marissa Effect. This is where conversations stick, stories spark something real. If today's episode moved you, made you think, or gave you a little inspo, please share it with a friend. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It truly means the world. Until next time, keep showing up, stay curious, and remember your story has an effect too. See you next week.